Hi everyone, delonewolf here and welcome back for some more EVE Online. Today's video is going to be a discussion video because I want to talk a little bit about some of the information that I have gathered after EVE Vegas. Now EVE Vegas is happening in Vegas. I myself live in Europe, so it's a pretty bad time zone for me. I would have had to stay up to like 2-3 in the morning in order to catch the live stream itself. So all I've managed to do so far is to watch the EVE Online keynote, which was posted this quickly on the EVE Online YouTube channel, and then I've managed to get a couple of hours into the second day VOD, focusing of course on the dev talk. So we had CCP Larrikin, CCP Rise, and then two other CCP devs, I think, with like a CCP trivia part, which was actually super interesting. There was actually a lot of concrete information there, which I'd missed in the EVE Online keynote. I have to be honest, that one felt a little bit underwhelming, and especially looking at what we have found now with the second chapter of the EVE Online invasion that's been announced. I personally don't really understand why that was not a part of the keynote and why there's so little information about that on the EVE Online website itself. So if we go to EVE Online, the articles website, for instance, we don't really have any recent dev blogs or anything that talks about the announcements at EVE Online Vegas, while Chapter 2 was actually announced during the CCP trivia talk itself. We do have a dev blog on the Hangar audio redesign. That's basically the level of information we're talking about at the moment. You can propose certain lines for a revamp of the Hangar audio when ships are docked. Looks pretty damn cool, but of course is basically small potatoes compared to like an actual announcement for a new part, a new chapter in the EVE Online invasion, the Triglavian invasion that's happening in the game. Even here on the EVE Online updates website, they're still mostly talking about continued improvements for new players. That's definitely coming more to the forefront now that I've seen more information with the other talks at EVE Vegas. EVE Vegas itself, then of course the Korean local client is coming as well, and then we've got EVE London. But you actually have to go to ccpgames.com/news in order to find the announcement that CCP announces new chapter in the EVE Online Invasion Chronicle. And then if we go here, we have the announcement that this is coming on Tuesday, November 26th, and basically the continuation of the Triglavian storyline is coming in less than a month. And this is actually pretty exciting because from the VOD from day 2 of EVE Vegas, we now know that there's gonna be content there that is going to force us to choose sides. We are going to have to choose between helping the existing empires destroy the new Triglavian dreadnought or helping the Triglavians to protect the new Triglavian dreadnought, which looks pretty cool. Of course, will then become part of the economy. We'll be able to build, fly, and use it and lose it, of course. But that part, actually, this development in this storyline to me is super exciting, especially for us here in Co Incorporated. We have basically always done our best to stay as neutral as possible, to stay positive with all the empires, so that all of the content, the possible trading, missioning, exploring could be done in all of Empire space. But here I am very tempted to take the riskier route and to see what the results will be if we decide to actually help the Triglavians, to support the Triglavians and their efforts, whatever those may be, because we really don't know. And that is actually very exciting for me. Lots of the features that are coming with this also do fall into the category of new player improvements. We've got stuff like the shareable bookmarks. We know from EVE Vegas as well that there's going to be a revamp of the wallet window, which to me looked very nice, very promising, and made a lot of sense that this is coming as well, adding the loyalty points basically to the wallet, immediately giving you a way to find out where you can actually cash out your loyalty points for. Well, it's usually implants, blueprints, and now also skins, of course, for the DED loyalty points. That looked very promising, but this one for the existing player base, I think, is where the excitement can actually be found here. This looks to me like it is going to be very unique. It's something that a lot of players have often talked about and brainstormed about, right? Why can't I, since I can be a pirate, I can be anything in the sandbox, why can't I help the Serpentis, why can't I help the Angel Cartel, and then work my way up the ladder there, get unique rewards, shape the story of EVE Online basically. And that's exactly what I think CCP is planning here. The Capsuleers themselves will have to choose between destroying the Dreadnought and helping the existing empires, or protecting it and helping the Triglavians basically with their invasion. And it was said that they don't know what the outcome is going to be. The players are actually going to decide on that by their actions. And I'm a little bit hyped, to be honest. I can't wait now for this to drop, to see what kind of content it is, what kind of choices we'll have to make, how all of this is going to work. It might force me out of my solo playstyle a little bit. I do get that feeling. But I personally really think that this is very exciting to see this invasion storyline continuing. It's a different way, of course, of telling the story, and perhaps that is also why they don't want to make too much of a fuss about it, so that people don't just go diving straight into every nook and cranny of every test server in order to find these sites beforehand. Perhaps they want to keep that as a surprise, as a living story that you have to experience on TQ, rather than get every bit of information beforehand in dev blogs, in announcements, in trailers, and all of that stuff. It's basically a new development cycle, and that is perhaps where my own almost 10 years of experience in EVE Online are a bit of like an Achilles heel for me. I was sort of expecting EVE Vegas, which for this year at least was the biggest EVE Online event of the year, to replace FanFest and to be a hub of big announcements, of lots of hype building, of fanfare. And I guess it's my own fault that I felt a little bit disappointed after the keynote, and underwhelmed after the keynote, because that was my own expectation, and that is apparently not what CCP has planned, and it's also not how they're developing the game anymore at this point, right? In most of the 10 years, it's been in big blocks, right? 2 expansions every year, a smaller one right before the summer, and then the big expansion every winter. There was always lots of hype, of course. You will already get lots of information at FanFest about what they're planning to do, hoping to do. They didn't always manage to do everything, and I guess now CCP Burger during the keynote basically didn't want to overpromise anything. He didn't want to mention anything that wasn't like 100% sure to come to the game, and I think that's where lots of I think more veteran players felt like it was rather underwhelming. Now, digging deeper, as I've said, we do have quite a bit of concrete information. We've got CCP Rise that talked about his team's work that's going to try to bring bi-weekly updates to the game. They're gonna switch out the meta, bring changes to the interceptor, to the combat interceptors, changes to the Minotaur ships, potentially changes to the pushers as well. I think Sinos were mentioned, with potentially having them spread out ships the bigger they become, so that they don't bump. Structure timers were also on the menu, and then longer term they were also talking about weather effects, potential changes to resource distribution, which I think everyone in EVE Online wants. They want that to become dynamic, so that Nosek finally has something to deploy over again, to fight over again. All of that was mentioned there. None of it was visible in the keynote. So yeah, you basically have to do a little bit of digging, and the development of EVE Online is basically, I think, switching from big blocks of content and hype building and like 1 or 2 big hype moments over the year, to a much more fluid development cycle where they'll continuously hit small things in the game, bring small changes to the game, and then the main storyline, which I think is this year, the Triglavian invasion, will have to be experienced rather than read about in articles or in dev blogs and things like that. So it's just a different mindset. I'm not sure if it's better or worse. I think both of them will have advantages and disadvantages, but it's more up to us, more veteran players, to like switch our mindset, I think, switch our expectations a little bit, and go with the flow. I'm definitely willing to give all of this a go. I'm looking forward now to the November release with Invasion Chapter 2. And yeah, we've got big choices to make. I think, do I want to support the Empires, or am I going to jump ship and try to support the Triglavians as much as I can? Maybe I should like eke out as many conduits as I can to get as many LP ready, because perhaps they won't like us doing these conduits anymore, and then also try to help them out in this new content in Chapter 2 for the Invasion. Yeah, I'm pretty excited about that. I hope that it's gonna be cool, and it's gonna come in less than a month, so we'll know pretty damn soon. That was what I wanted to share with you guys. Thank you very much for watching, and as always, I'll see you next time.